So we've moved across to the west beach of Fraser Island, and I've got the group out exploring the sand flats here. There's lots of crabs and other different subjects to shoot. I've got some crab pots here, and we're going to put them up in a little creek and look at trying to catch some big mud crabs, and they're a great subject to photograph. We'll see what happens.
Kingfisher Bay Resort is the island's premier eco-resort on the western beach, and it's nestled within the World Heritage Surrounds right on the edge of the Great Sandy Strait, and it's just a perfect little retreat for people visiting the island, and some incredible resort activities around there, but also a beautiful spot to view the sunset as it sets over the western beach there as well.
We've got a lot of different environments here at Kingfisher Bay Resort, and we're looking at the water holes, and they're a natural attractant for birds. So we've got birds like swallows that are actually picking up mud at the moment. Some of the guys are trying to shoot the swallows on the wing, picking up water, which is a very difficult shoot to do. And we're trying to get some white-cheeked honeyeaters sitting on banksias and things like that. So a lot of it's difficult, but again, if you sit and be patient, you can get some really great results. Settings wise, we're looking at aperture priority. Again, keep it simple. You can use manual, you can use other settings like shutter priority too, but I find aperture priority, 400 ISO, f5.6 as a default starting point really helps you to get great results. And then after that, if the light gets lower, you can increase your ISO, maybe 800, even 1600 ISO. Really what you're trying to do is get a high shutter speed, at least 1,000th of a second, to help you freeze a bird and get that really nice fine feather detail.
While you're on Fraser Island, it's well worth a visit to Peter Meyer's gallery. He's been taking photos of the island for over 2 decades, and he's captured some really special moments.
So you've been on the island for some time now. What brought you here and what's kept you here?
I sort of studied ecology and biochemistry, right? And that's always been my main thing. I always liked teaching people about the environment. So that's how I got here, and I started doing the tours for Kingfisher. I just sort of started taking photographs. I never intended to be a photographer, it just sort of worked out that way.
It just happened. So many places to photograph while you're here. What are your favourite spots?
As far as favourite spots, I'd probably say the sand dunes, even though they present some of the most difficult obstacles to get to, and sand just gets into your equipment and just destroys everything. Like so, yeah. So not to mention in your underwear and shoes.
Everywhere. You name it.
Everywhere. Yeah, everywhere.
So let's chat about some of your favourite all-time shots.
Yep.
And how you achieve them.
Well, some of them are luck. Some of them are just, your timing wise, it's just perfect timing. Others are persistent, like I have the birds hovering around grass tree flower spikes. It was just this little patch of grass trees. They were all flowered all at the same time, which is pretty unusual. Every nectar feeding bird in the world was coming down, and they hover like hummingbirds. And so I went back every morning, every afternoon for 3 weeks.
To get the shot?
Yeah, pretty much. The sand dunes are hard work because you've got to walk a fair way to get to them, and then you can get there and it just doesn't happen. So you've spent hours to get to a place and then nothing really is worthwhile. And so it's got to have a combination of clouds, light, all that sort of stuff, and sometimes it just doesn't work,
So my favourite shot is the wreck with the gorgeous stars.
Yep.
How did you achieve that?
That one was just, I just happened to be out on the island that night, and it was low tide and it was a new moon. So I just went back and then I just sort of used my head torch to light up the shipwreck.
Yep.
And I had to wait for the waves to go in and then recede so that the sand in front was wet. So I knew there would be a reflection of the wreck.
Beautiful.
I mean, I got pretty wet, the waves hitting me and stuff like that. So
you didn't get swept out.
yeah.
Well, thanks so much for chatting with me today. I'm going to keep having a look around.
No worries.
I love going crabbing and eating mud crabs. We've caught a little mud crab. I was hoping to get something bigger for the group to shoot, but this little guy here is still going to be a bit of fun to photograph. So we'll go down and near the jetty at Kingfisher there and take some photos. I tell you now, if she bit me, I'd be screaming and crying at the same time. So I'm going to not let that happen. And when it gets really soft pastel-y colours, it's a really cool shot with fill flash. And like the Nautilus, what you do is you shoot the crab, aiming to focus on the crab with the sun as a backdrop.
This is a great opportunity to shoot a broad range of environments. I have to say that my passion is for the wildlife, so the thing that we're doing now is we're shooting a crab on the beach, but we've also been photographing dingoes, eagles, and so that's really been my favourite aspect of this week.
Thanks for joining us here on beautiful Fraser Island. We finished the day shooting a mud crab. We're now off to the bar for a well-earned drink.